chant Om one time. So let's start. Sit down in quietude, straight, back, neck and head straight in one line. I am the unpolluted self, unpolluted Kshetragni, unborn, Ajaha, Nitya, Nitya Buddha, Swayam Prakash, Nitya Mukta, always free, unbound. Om Sahanavatu
Sahanavatu Sahano
Sahanavatu
Punaktu Sahaviryan
Sahaviryantarvavahe
Karvavahe Tejasvinavadi
Tejasvinastु
Tamastuma Vittikavahe
Shanti
Shanti Shanti Shanti
Om
Om
Samastana
Samastana Viratam Karunamayam
Devam Satgurum
Satgurum Brahma Viparam
Satgurum Brahma Vidvaram Parthaya Pratibodhi
Bodhitam
Bhagavat
Bhagavatam
Nara
Narayana Swayam
Vyasena Grathitam
Puranamilina
Madhye
Madhya
Mahabharatam
Mahabharata
Advaitamritavarshini Bhagavati Ashtadashadhyayani Amba Tvamanusandhami Bhagavat Gite Bhavaddeshmi Yam Brahma Varunendra Rudra Marutaha Stanvanti Divyaistavai Vedai Sangapadah Kramo Upanishadai Gayanti Yam Samaga Dhyanavasthita Tadgaten Manasa Pashyanti Yam Yogino Yasyantam Navidu Sura Suragana Devaya Tasmai Namaha Devaya Tasmai Namaha Hari Om. Field and the knower of the field. Naya, Nayam, Kshetra, Kshetragna. That's the discussion going on. In the 12th chapter, Bhagwan talked about abiding in bhakti. And in this chapter, abidance in knowledge, Sankhya which is different from the Sankhya Darshan. One who has this intense desire, this desire of knowledge, and then he is not interested in the money, the fame, the family, the son, and the wife, and all those attachments that we have in the world. But he has this desire to know. For that seeker to enter into this path of knowledge, Jnana Marg, Lord is explaining the Kshetra and the Kshetrajna, field and the knower of the field. Bhagwan Shankaracharya, Adi Shankaracharya has talked about and done commentaries on a lot of things, but the main three, Bhagavad Gita, Upanishad, and Brahma Sutra, these are the three main scriptures that most of us follow called Prasthanatraya. So we basically understand these as Bhakti Yoga, Karma Yoga, and Jnana Yoga. However, in different commentaries of Gita, Bhakti Yoga is also included in Karma Yoga because there's always some degree of karma involved in doing bhakti also. But the Lord, the Supreme Self, He does not take any difference. In this chapter, as such, there's no discussion about Bhagwan or Ishwar, except in one shloka where we will come and talk about it. Mainly, it is a difference between the field and the knower of the field. So when there is a field, and the field constantly goes through the change, like us, our body, or this world, mountains, earth, water, rains, clouds, they are there. We see it, right? So when it's there and it constantly goes through the change, then somebody should be there who made it. It didn't come out of nowhere. So the one who has made this is the Supreme Self, Ishwar with Maya. In this world, we see if there is something that is being made, for example, any object like food, food is made in our homes by our moms, sisters, or a cloth or a pot. If it's made, then the person who makes that is one. But people who enjoy it are multiple. Food is made by our moms. The whole family eats. Other people also eat. Cloth is made by somebody. Many people wear that. So the enjoyers are multiple, but the person who makes them is only one. Same way, in this world, there are multiple, countless jivas, including us. And there's one Ishwar. So multiple jivas and one Ishwara who has made this whole thing. To maintain the continuity, as Anilji discussed, we'll just briefly touch it. In the 20th shloka, Karya Karana Kartratve Hetu Prakriti Ruchyate Purusha Sukha Dukhanam Bhuktratve Hetu Ruchyate. So there was some discussion, maybe last class or before that, like how do we know which Purusha is which Purusha in different shlokas? In this shloka, this Purusha Sukha Dukhanam Bhoktratve Heturuchyate, this Purush is the Bhokta, that which is associated with the Prakriti, which is the five elements, the five sense organs, the five organs of action, Man, Buddhi, Ankar, Chit. This is all Prakriti. And the Chetan Purush, the consciousness with this Prakriti, is the cause of this whole interaction in the world that we see. The Vyavahar, what we say, interaction, transaction. But when we have this knowledge about the self, then this consciousness is separate from the Prakriti, and then this does not get together again. Like, from milk. From milk, we get butter, we get ghee. We extract these things out of milk. We cannot put these back again, and it cannot be back in milk again as milk. Once it's taken out, it's separate. So the jnani, the person of viveka, of discrimination, once he understands this, that I am not the prakriti, this prakriti is in me, then this association does not happen. In Vedanta, Vedanta is non-dual, the Advait, the Ajatvad. According to this, there is no existence of Prakriti or Maya, independent. So this Karya Karan Prapanch, this mutual superimposition that we see is all because of the ignorance. It just appears that it's there while it's not there. Again, going to the next one in shloka number 21, Purusha prakristho hi bhumte prakritir jangunan karanam guna sangosya sad asad yoni janmasu. Here the Purusha is the pure self, the supreme Chaitanya. This is it's different here. And because the Purusha is associated with the Prakriti, it is a sansari. It enjoys the world. It is the bhokta. And because of the actions that he does, because of the vasanas, he will perform sins, he will perform punya karmas, good deeds, and because of that, it will lead to his birth, rebirth in either sadyonis or asadyonis or lower births. So the question here is, how can the pure Atma be a karta? How can a pure Atma be a bhokta? It becomes all of that because of being stationed in Prakriti. And that is the biggest disease. And because of that, he appears to be changing, goes through the vikara. But then we ask this question, how can this change happen in the Nirvikara Brahma, the one who's changeless entity, one who's unaffected? How can that change happen in that? So the answer to that is, actually, nothing happened. It just appears like that. For example, this space, we cannot see it, but we know the space is there. And then we see the clouds or some smog or some smoke. So it appears like adulterated or dirty. But actually, even during that time, it is untouched, unchanged. Because of all those impurities, it just appears like that. Then what is this ignorance? Why did this happen? So to talk about this, we come to our shloka number 23. Upadrashtanumanta cha
Upadrashtanumanta cha
Harta Bhokta Maheshwaraha
Karta Bhokta Maheshwaraha
Paramatmeti Chapyuktaha
Paramatmeti
Chapyuktaha
Dehesmin Purushah Paraha.
Dehesmin Purusha
Paraha
Together. Upadrashtanumanta cha Harta Bhokta Maheshwaraha Paramatmeti Chapyuktaha Dehesmin Purushah Paraha. Asmin Dehe. In this body, in this unit, in this body, in this sanghat, in this assembly of different organs, that Chetan Tattva, that pure consciousness is the supremost. Uktaha, it is said that Purusha that Chetan Tattva is given all these names. Dehesmin, Asmin Dehe Purushaha, that Purusha, that Supreme Self in this body is said to have all these names. Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bharta, Bhokta, Maheshwaraha, Paramatma. So let's take all these names one at a time. You can all hear me, right?
Yeah.
Thank you. Should I go slow, fast, or is the space okay?
Yes,
You're perfect.
Thank you.
very good.
So let's go all these names one at a time. The first one is Updrashta. Up means close or near. Drashta is the Sakshi or the witness. The witness who is very close witness, simply watching. For example, like in darkness, there's a rope, and we think it's a snake, and then when we see it closely, and when there's some light, we know it's just a rope. But they're very close to each other. For example, in a train track, right? We stand on a track. When we are very close, we see all these two tracks are different. But in the distance, they all seem to be one. But when we look at this closely, we can see the difference. Like in a house, for example, husband, maybe he's lazy, he's not doing anything, and he's just sitting, and the wife is making all the food, she's going to the groceries, she's cleaning the house, she's making the food, morning, afternoon, evening, and the husband is just sitting and watching, Upadrashta, closely watching. So he's just simply watching, not doing anything. Anumanta, he's giving permission for everything to happen. He's not saying do this, he's not saying don't do that. He's giving blessings to everything which is going on. Like sun, in the light of the sun, everything is going on. We are all living, we are doing our stuff. At some part of the world, war is going on. At some part of the world, yagnas are happening, teachings are happening, good deeds are happening. At other place, people are busy working, making a living. And some places, riots are going on. So the Lord is not telling anybody to do this, don't do that. He's just merely letting things happen, and he has the blessings he's giving the blessings to all the actions. There was a gentleman as I was talking to in my office, and so we had a discussion, and he was saying that all these things which are going on in the world, so the Bhagwan should do this, Bhagwan should take care of that, Bhagwan should not let bad things happen, he should stop those things. So at one level, when we start, these things are okay to understand. But as we climb the stairs, we figure out that he is just merely illuminating the whole world of play. Things are happening in his blessings. He's not going to stop anything. Then he's Bharta. Bharta is like he's the supporter. In his blessing, the whole world, this whole universe, Akhand Brahmand, is supported and nourished. Bharta, Bhokta, he's an enjoyer also. He enjoys, we as jivas are enjoying this world. We are doing our actions. Then he is the Maheshwara. So this Maheshwara is made of two words. Mahan, Mahesh, and Ishwaraha, Ishwar. So this is the only place where they talk about Ishwar. So Mahan, Ishwar is just an exalted expression of Ishwara, the omniscient, omnipresent, omnipotent. Usually we associate with Maheshwara as Lord Shiva. Maheshwara, Brahma, Vishnu, Mahesh. But here, this doesn't mean that Maheshwara or Mahesh. It is just an expression to that supreme being, Maheshwara, exalted expression. And then Paramatma, again the supreme self in me, is the Paramatma. So how can, in this one shloka, he is talking about that Purush as Upadrashta, Anumanta, Bhokta, three names. Then in the same shloka, he is talking about Bharta, Maheshwara, Paramatma, which are usually associated with the Supreme Being. So in the same shloka, he is talking about the lower self and the higher self. If we see Cha, Upadrashta, Anumanta, Cha, Paramatmeti Cha, Yuktaha, Uktaha. So Cha and Api, Cha Pyukto, Cha Pyuktaha, Cha and Api. So with these two, he is talking about unity of Samashti and Vyashti. The one Vyashti and this whole Samashti. Vyashti is Upadrashta, Upamanta, Bhokta, Vyashti. Samashti, Bharta, Maheshwara, Paramatma. So there is no difference between any of this. It is just our knowledge or lack of knowledge or ignorance because of which we create this difference. It's just like, we have seen Gurudev's chart of BMI. I don't have it, but understand like three compartments, like unconditioned consciousness, the supreme being. Then we have the conditioning. Satish ji, unconditioned consciousness. Then the conditioned consciousness. So this Satish is the name given to this entity who has two hands and two legs for this unconditioned consciousness to function through. So the unconditioned consciousness needs a conditioning to function as. For example, Satish ji, he is a father because of he has a son. He is a husband because he has a wife. He is, I don't know what Satish is, but he's an engineer because of what he does. So all of these, the names, the husband, the father, the son, is because of all these associations. So he becomes that Jiva. So if we look at it, if we remove all these conditionings, he's a father only, he has a son. Otherwise, he's not a father. He's a husband because he has a wife. He's a son because he has a mother. We remove all these conditions, this conditioned consciousness will also go away. This thing cannot exist without this conditioning. Only thing which will be left, this unconditioned consciousness. The Paramatma, the Maheshwara, the Bharta. So let's apply this to ourselves. I am that supreme unconditioned consciousness who is functioning with all these conditionings as an individual. I would not be a doctor if I had not studied medicine or if I don't work. I cannot. So doctorhood is just a name attached, condition attached to me. I cannot be a father if I do not have a son or a daughter. So this conditioning, if we remove, this middle part, the conditioned consciousness is gone. What is left is the Paramatma. So I am that Paramatma who's functioning through these conditionings as this conditioned consciousness. Did it make sense? Please interrupt if I'm not making any sense. Sir. Like when we say like this, like the computer is, the book is, this object is. So with everything we are attaching is, the isness. Where does this isness comes from? The hai. The isness happens because of my own. I am there. If I am not here, this will not be there. Who knows this object? I am the knower of the object. I am the knower of the field. Unconditioned. If I am not here, none of this would exist. And this is the isness. The Sat portion of the Sat Chit Anand Brahma. So the Sat portion or the isness or the hai is because of me as my own nature. So there was a question about the space, like in a big hall, or like this big hall, if you put a small room, so the space from the hall space becomes the room space, and inside that room we put a small dabba, the same space will become the dabba space. So the space has not changed its nature, but because of this 4 walls and then the 4 walls outside, it appears as dabba space or the room space in the same hall space or the Mahakash. So nothing has changed here, but we are putting boundaries. Once we remove the boundary of this flesh and hand, it will be just one, supreme consciousness. Let's go to the next shloka, shloka number 24. Ya evam vetti purusham
एवं वेत्ति पुरुषं
prakritim cha gunai saha
प्रकृतिं च गुणैः सह
sarvatha vartamanopi
सर्वथा वर्तमानोऽपि
na sa bhuyo bhijayate.
न स भूयोऽभिजायते
Ya evam vetti purusham prakritim cha gunai saha sarvatha vartamanopi na sa bhuyo bhijayate. Ya evam vetti. Vetti means to know or knowing. Ya, one who. Evam, like this. So the one who knows the association of the Prakriti and the Purush with the 3 gunas of the Prakriti, which we know as Sattva, Rajas and Tama. So the one who knows the association between this Purusha and the Prakriti with the 3 gunas of the Prakriti, that Sarvatha Vartamanopi na bhuyo abhijayate. That who while interacting in this world, na bhuyo abhijayate, he is never born again. So the knower or the jnani, he can live in whatever way. He never gets the rebirth, the transmigration, the punarjanam. Because he is not connected to this external transaction, the vyavahara, the interaction. He is not connected to that. However, he will continue to live depending upon his prarabdha karmas. So that knower or the jnani, he will move around in this world. Somewhere he will be a teacher, somewhere he will be a householder, somewhere he can be a bhrashtachari or totally corrupt person, somewhere he can be like, wandering around as avadhuta, somebody who could be a ruler, right? The King Janak, somebody who may be totally engaged in karmas and upasanas, somebody would be like Bhagwan Rama, he's again a ruler. So, sarvatha vartamanopi sa yogi mai vartate. In 6th chapter it is said, Bhagwan said in 6th chapter, shloka number 31. Sarvatha vartamanopi. Vartaman doesn't mean at present, here. Sarvatha vartamanopi sa yogi mai vartate. While in this world, he could be engaged doing whatever, but he will not have a doubt. He will not have this erroneous notion that I am this piece of flesh and blood. He would see himself as that one akhand satta, that one akhand sach chit anand, and he doesn't see anything, and he does not. This is called not being reborn. Because what is born, Anilji explained this in the past, rebirth. If we ask Sanatan Dharmis, which is not Hinduism as such, 99% or maybe 99.99% of people will say that yes, there is rebirth. Yes, there is punarjanam. 99.99% will say, maybe 100% will say, that there is rebirth, that we get reborn, depending on our karmas, depending on our actions. But what gets reborn is our vasanas, the vritti, the tendencies, the subtle body. That gets reborn. Atma is always unborn. It can never take a birth. Knowing this is knowing the Prakriti and the association of Purusha with the Prakriti. In Sankhya philosophy, we hear this word Sankhya. Here also they're talking about Sankhya. So in the Sankhya darshan also talks about the Prakriti and the Purush. In that philosophy, the Prakriti is doing its own play. This whole thing is doing its own play, changing, things are happening, and Purush is the Sakshi. He's separate. He's not doing anything. He's just the Sakshi, and the Prakriti is going through its play. There is no Ishvara in Sankhya Darshan. So that's Sankhya Darshan. Purusha is separate, is just a witness. Prakriti is going through the change. In Vedanta, the Prakriti is also, which is also called the Maya, is also going through its play, but not independent. It is dependent on the Supreme Self, the Ishvara. It has no existence, independent existence. It is serving under the control of the Ishvara. Adhin, Adhyast. There is no independent Prakriti or independent Maya. So looking at the samashti or the totality aspect, we hear when we were young, we are going through, and even sometime we talk in general terms, और ये सब माया है, ये सब होता रहता है, प्रकृति ये ईश्वर की माया है, चल रहा है, जो होता है होने दो, ये पैसा, बच्चे, घर, गाड़ी, ये माया है, माया का खेल है. So this is all at the level of totality, which is Ishwara's Maya or Ishwara's play. At individual level, at my level, my Maya is my buddhi, my intellect, my ahankara, which makes me think I am a doctor, I'm a businessman, I'm an investment broker, I have this, I can do this, I can do that. This is my Maya. I have a wife, I have a son, I have this much bank balance. This is my Maya at individual level. And at the totality level, this is Ishwara's Maya. Rivers, mountains, trees. In bhakti, they say Bhagwan. There is no Brahman there. Ishwar, total surrender to the Ishwar. And so the concept of liberation there is different, just identifying with the Lord. You know, we have 4 different kind of muktis or liberation. So there the mukti is different. And in Vedanta, the non-duality, the mukti or the liberation is knowing I am the untouched consciousness and all this Maya appears to be there, it is actually not there. And in Sankhya, Prakriti is separate, Purush is separate, Purush is just watching or the witness or the Sakshi, Prakriti is going through its own play. So where do we see all this? We see all this outside. We see all this. How can we deny that there is a world? How can we say that you are not there? I can touch you. I can touch this. I have pain. Somebody puts a needle in me. It hurts. Somebody hits me. It hurts. Right? So it is said in the scripture, Neha nanasti kinchana. I will see whatever is outside. The ear will hear all the sounds. Our mind will also feel things. And because of that, we will be happy. We will be sad like before and like now. In the same tone, he also says, Iha nana kinchana na asti. Once we have the knowledge, not when we are in a samadhi, not when we are dead, not when we are in a deep sleep, not then. While being awake, we see all these as just mere pratiti or appearance. Like, for example, we have grown up in those times where they had those black and white movies. I'm not sure how many people remember Mr. K.L. Sehgal or any actor for that matter, Ashok Kumar, we go and watch their movie. So when we are watching the movie, he's still any character who's dead now, but that we watch that character's movie. So when we are watching that, he's still there. We see him. But we know in our buddhi, with our intellect, we know that he is not there. Right? So like we enjoyed that character's play in that movie, like, what a wonderful movie, they hit each other, whatever was going on, they were singing, great movie. Same thing is like here. Indro Mayabhi, Indra Sarva Kameshwar Parameshwarah. That Par Brahma Paramatma, through his Shakti, through his power, is appearing is all this. And this Paramatma, this Parameshwar is me. And because of ignorance, I am seeing him, myself, as all of this. For example, in a movie, I mean, somebody who's playing like 2 or 3 parts, right? Double role, triple role, quadruple role. People play all these multiple roles in the movie. What about this Lord? He's playing numerous uncountable roles. The monodrama. One person is appearing as all this. This is the nishchay. This is what we need to arrive at. Outside we see all these conditionings, right? This person, that person, good person, bad person is what we think in our mind. There can never be unity in the conditioning. It just cannot happen, because we see it as that. The eye is going to see it as that. But we did not realize, we don't realize Atme Vedam Agra Asit, Ek Paramatma, one Paramatma has done all of these parts. So, coming this far, knowing this, but how do we get there? How to know all this? Now Bhagwan is talking about some sadhana. Like, how do we get there? How do we get this knowledge? Because we are all different. We all have different aptitude. We all have different, the way of thinking. Some people can sit long time, and some people can study long time, but some of us are not. So that's why this is talked about how to achieve all this, how to get there. So we'll chant shloka number 24. Dhyanenatmani pashyanti
Dhyanenatmani pashyanti
kechidatmanamatmana
kechidatmanamatmana
anye sankhena yogena
anye sankhena yogena
karma yogena chapare
karma yogena chapare
dhyanenatmani pashyanti kechidatmanamatmana anye sankhena yogena karma yogena chapare. So, kechid, some people, atmani pashyanti. So if we look at the shloka, the shloka number 24, 24, we look at this word atma, atmani, atmana, atmanam. It has come 3 times. Right? So kechid, some people, atmani pashyanti, in their own inner consciousness, they see themselves. Atmani, atmana, atmanam. Atmani, in their inner consciousness. Atmana, by the purified mind, which is the lower self. Atmanam, attain the higher self. Atmani, atmana, atmanam. In their inner self, by the purified mind, they know the inner self or the purified consciousness, the Atmanam. So again, like we just talked about, this same Paramatma is appearing in different roles. So in this Atmani, with this Buddhi and intellect, Atmana, we are seeing all this play, but we know that this is nothing but me itself, Atmanam, the pure consciousness. All this seeing that we are doing is just nothing but a mere appearance. It is actually not there. Like when we are seeing a dream, we know whatever we see in the dream, even though we see the object, even though we know that maybe I went to Bombay, maybe I went to New York, and when I wake up, I find myself on my own bed. The same way, and I know that none of this happened. It was just an appearance in my dream. Same way, when I'm awake, I see all these things happening, which is just a mere appearance. And this difference of waking, dream, and deep sleep has been explained in deep and extreme detail in Mandukya, which is a very difficult Upanishad to comprehend. But the Shruti, the scripture, has talked about, and that is the proof that whatever we see in the dream is mere mithya, mere false. Using the same logic or the yukti, whatever we see during the waking is also mere appearance, pratiti. It is all mithya. It is there, but actually it is not there. We see it, but it's not actually there. So dhyanam is the meditation. Some kechid, some do the practice of dhyanam or the meditation or nididhyasan, which has also been talked deep in great detail in the 6th chapter. So dhyan or dhyanam is the practice sitting at some place, closing our eyes, withdrawing our sense of organs from all these sense objects, withdrawing them further in the mind, then the mind into our inner self, like as a continuous stream of water over the shiverling. We see that water in a straight line falling on the shiverling. Tal dharavat, like we pour oil over something, continuous stream, non-interrupted stream of contemplation upon my own self, withdrawing my sense organs from all these sense objects into the mind, then gradually from the mind in my inner self. Thus merging this meditator or dhyata into what is being meditated on, the dhya. So there is no object left, only the subject is left. Again, this has been discussed in extreme detail in 6th chapter, but these are done by the seekers, the best seekers. It has been said there are 4 different kind of qualified seekers. Uttama, the best; Madhyama, the mediocre; Kanisht, weak; Kanishtatar, or weaker. So the best seeker, the most qualified seeker, after doing his Shravan is also not listening to anything, but listening to the scripture that talks about the non-dual nature of the Brahman and the unity of Brahma and Jeev. That is called Shravanam. And doing continuous contemplation, Mananam, then he is going to sit down and do this meditation or nididhyasan, getting rid of the erroneous notion, the Viparit Bhavna. What is the Viparit Bhavna? That I am this body, I'm an enjoyer, I'm a doer. I am not none of this. I am unborn. I am Nitya Mukta. I am Nitya Shuddha. Knowing this. So this moksha or the freedom or the liberation cannot be actually done by doing something, cannot be achieved by doing something. So then we think, like, why are we doing all this thing, right? I mean, why do we listen to scriptures, go to the gurus, do all these kind of practices? We, as we talked about in the previous shloka, the 2023, I am already the Anumanta, Bharata, Maheshwara, Paramatma, but because of my conditioning, I know myself as Bhokta, enjoyer. So to know this difference, we have to do all these practices. So I'm already free. I don't have to do anything. What I have to do is, number one, nididhyasan. It is just clearing out all the garbage from my mind that tells me that I am this, I am that, I have to do this, I have to do that. Because in our mind, the more of these things we have, the less of the less reflection of pure consciousness is there. So to see more and more of that, we have to remove all of those. This is what all this is. This is the practice of removing all of this garbage. This is the sadhana. So the best seeker will engage in the practice of dhyanam or meditation or nididhyasan. Anye sankhya yogena, karma yogena chapare. Rest will engage in the practice of viveka. Sankhya here is the discrimination. Analyzing what is Prakriti, again the 5 elements, the 5 organs of action, the 5 sense organs, then the man, buddhi, chitta, ahankar, I am not this, I am not that. Doing this constant discrimination, that is by the mediocre seeker. None of us can constantly sit and do meditation at one place. We don't have to go and hang ourselves from a tree upside down or stand in the middle of the water on one leg or those kind of things. We hear these stories on all these Puranas that such and such person did that austerity, he was standing on those legs or sitting at one place for years and years. That happened. As we continuously do this contemplation upon our nature, we really don't need to sit down in one place and just keep our eyes closed. We cannot do that. But as we do this contemplation more and more, and it naturally comes to us that we naturally glide into the stage, even though when my eyes may be open, I may be doing something, but I'm constantly dwelling on my own nature. So even though my eyes may be open, I may be doing this, whatever, but my mind is there. I'm trying to keep the contemplation on. So while even doing something, it naturally becomes a practice to me. It comes naturally. So we really don't have to do anything different. I mean, a dhyan can happen to us even though we may be driving or even maybe doing something. So we really don't have to stop and then do whatever we are doing and go and sit in a room and do that. No, we can do the dhyanam doing whatever we are doing. We don't necessarily have to sit down in a closed room, which we have to do that to start with. But as we do more and more abhyasa, practice, it naturally comes to us. So the transition becomes easier. We naturally glide into it. And then anye karma yogena chapare. Some people engage, some people are not able to do this. Some people say it's very difficult. I cannot sit in a room. It's very difficult. I'm always active. And I cannot read. I cannot understand Vedanta. I don't have time to go and attend all these classes. It doesn't make sense. Some of those people, what do they do? They engage in karma or karma yoga, and which is the beginning stage of our sadhana anyway. And karma yoga or karma by itself cannot result in knowledge. It's just a beginning stage. So the karma or the service or the seva itself will not do anything. And again, karma can be service or yoga, or service or seva. So most of us, we do a service, right? We can be volunteers. We can be doing a service to the community, to in a mission or wherever. But unless we have in doing this service, unless we have that seva bhav, what is the difference between the service and the seva while doing a karma? The seva bhav is the Lord is in me and He's the one who's doing the whole thing. I'm merely an instrument. So when He's the one who's doing all this and I'm a mere instrument, so the expectation of getting some results out of that will not be there. That is the seva bhav. Service we can still do, but unless we have this feeling in us of total devotion, surrender to the Lord, having that feeling, having that love for the Lord. We cannot go and pick up love from or devotion from a shelf. As we have this understanding in us that it's the Lord who's in me, who's doing the whole thing, and I'm a mere instrument, that will gradually lead us further, and then we can gradually ascend and come. It will naturally propel us to the next stage of seeking a teacher, reading the scripture, or listening to the discourses, things like that. So that's the weak student. And then the next one is going to talk about the weakest. Most of us fall in that category, listening to discourses, CDs, pen drives, different books that we read. That's what, Anyatva Evam Ajananta, that Anilji will be taking that when he comes. They can also, Chate Taranteva, they also, Atitaranti, Mrityu, they can also get rid of the fear of death. All of this is just to have this correct knowledge that I was never born, I'm unborn, I was free, I will always be free. All of this is just to know that, to have that knowledge, to have this understanding. We don't have to go anywhere. Otherwise, we will always be in this relay race. In the Hindu Dharma, Sanatana Dharma, we say, Aris Janma nahi hua, not in this life, maybe we'll do this in next life, then maybe in the next life, then maybe in the next life. So there's a constant relay race going. Whatever we have done, relay, next life. We hand the baton to the next one, and then baton to the next one. So like that, the relay race is going on. But once we have this knowledge that I was always free, we will never be reborn. This is the bottom line, to know this eternal truth, my own nature, that I am unborn, Ajatvad. It's me only, non-dual, who's appearing as everything. It's not like that is Lord, that is Bhagwan, and no, there's no difference. It's the Paramatma in me, who's the Brahma in me. Brahma doesn't do anything. Brahman cannot do anything. He has no power. When the Maya becomes associated, then he, as Ishvara, has all this power of Maya. Brahman as such has no power. The consciousness with the object becomes a thought. Consciousness without the object is just awareness. and I am of the nature of awareness. Consciousness, object becomes a thought. Consciousness without the object is just awareness. That is what my real nature is. That's what we have to do in Nididhyasana, or the practice of meditation. We can end here. Next week, there is no class because of the Thanksgiving weekend. Anil will be back the following week. Any questions, answers, open forum. You can unmute yourself, and whatever I can say or whatever I know, I'll do my best. Wherever I did not make any sense or anybody disagrees or something.
Hi, I'm Lata. I have a question. In shloka number 23, you indicated two purushas. I just could not make sense of it. Higher and lower. And functioning in the same body, myself, so to say. And you have given 6 names to it. Is that 3 are for the lower and 3 are for the higher?
It's the entity is the same.
Okay.
Entity is the same. But because of the association or the identification or the tadatmya with the prakriti, which is my 5 actions, organs of action, or sense organs, my mind, buddhi, ahankar, he is enjoying this whole world.
Right.
But the same Purusha, without this Prakriti, is the Supreme Self.
Okay.
So again, there's 3 compartments: the unconditioned consciousness, the Supreme Purusha,
Mm-hmm.
the lower, this Purusha with the Prakriti,
Mm-hmm.
with the body, mind, intellect, this combination is appearing as Lataji, Satiji, Pankaj,
Okay.
Kusumji. So if we remove this, there will be none of this. Only this will be left. This conditioning is the problem. And because we associate ourselves with this Prakriti, the Maya, or Maya in Vedanta, Prakriti in Sankhya, which is again organs of action, the sense organs, the inner equipment, we start appearing like that. Like in the sun, right? When it's shining and 4 or 5 buckets are there. Some buckets filled with water. Some buckets are very clean. Some have some dirt. Some have more dirt. Some have total dirt. So the bucket which is the cleanest will have the most shining appearance of the sun. So this is what we have to do. This is the sadhana, to remove all this dirt from our mind, so that we see one nature.
So does that mean
that is the Prakriti?
Does that mean the 6 names that you gave, that we focus on the last 2, like Paramatma, Maheshwara, and the spectator and the permitter, Bharta, or Bhokta, the enjoyer, you reduce that part of your, what do I want to call it? Actions, so to say?
I mean, all these actions that we think we are doing as the lower self, which is the Upadrashta, the Anumanta, and the Bhokta. So these are happening thinking that I am the Prakriti. I am associated with the Prakriti.
Right.
But when we know that I am not associated with Prakriti, there is nothing like Prakriti, it's just me, the higher self. It's the same thing.
Right.
But it's looking like this. Like in darkness, the most famous example of rope and the snake, right?
Right.
Because of this darkness, we see this. But as soon as the light is there, we see only rope there.
Yeah.
This is what they're talking about. The darkness, to throw the light, is doing all these practices of nididhyasana, the vivek, and then again the karma and the listening to the scripture. This is all throwing light.
Sure.
And then we know that it was always me. It is always will be me.
Mhm.
I was never unborn. I was always there, and I will always be.
Thank you.
Sure. Again, it's a very we engaging constantly every day in this world. Or I have to go and do the grocery. I have to go and see do this thing at work. I have to do that. I have to. So mind is constantly bombarded with those things because the sense organs are like a camera. Just imagine nowadays we can have movie in a pen drive, right? So in that pen drive, which is like this, how can we get all those big objects which are outside? Mountains, rivers, ocean, right? How can we get all of that in that small 1-inch pen drive? Same way, our body is a movie camera. And all these, so body, it's a camera with all the shutter of these 5 sense organs. They're the camera. And all these objects are coming through those cameras in this. And then we make a movie because we constantly think about it. We think about it. And then it becomes a vasana because we are constantly thinking about it. So the more we think about it, the more deeper the vasana is, the more deeper our hates and sorrows and joys, the raga and desha. So where do we have the time to think about our own self? That's why the Bhagwan has said, in thousands and thousands of people, only one person is able to walk towards me. Because most of us, through all of our vasanas, whatever we do, whatever we think, have so much raga and desha that we're constantly doing things like that. I mean, we cannot do give up doing what we do. We still have to do all of that, but we have to constantly contemplate on that.
Okay.
I mean, that's the whole thing.
Okay. Thank you.
It is as simple as that, but very difficult. Very difficult.
Yeah.
Very simple also.
Right. and in that last one, you put the 3 self, my goodness. That also. The verse number 25, Atmani, Atmana.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
That is also hard to understand.
This is very simple. This is very simple to... Kusamji, please. Hurry on.
Yeah, see, the description, hold on. The description Swamiji has the written here is, one may wonder why the same term is used in indicating the instrument of recognition, that is Atmani. The subject recognizing it is Atmana, and the object recognized is Atmanam. So, oh my goodness.
This
I have to contemplate on those terms.
What cases are those?
Okay, so Atmana, the subject, that's first case, singular.
Atmana is the purified intellect, or this lower self is Atmana.
Oh, okay.
And Atmanam is the supreme consciousness.
Okay.
And
what about Atmani? Explain to me.
Atmani in my own self.
Okay, so why then there in myself is Atmana, that is the subject, and my intention is to recognize Atmanam. The instrument of recognition is Atmani. So what am I referring to when I'm talking about instrument?
Atmani is the intellect.
Okay.
Atmani is the intellect. Atmana is the purified mind.
Okay,
And Atmanam is the self-consciousness.
perfect. Intellect is where I was missing. My intellect was not able to grasp that intellect. Thank you.
Thank you. Kusumji, you're muted.
I think that Atmanam would be in the accusative in the second case, and Atmani it would be in the seventh case locative.
Well, I mean, again, we can go into
We
the
will
grammar.
ask the Sanskrit
We can go into the
teacher.
grammar aspect, but the very simple thing is, I am myself imagining in me only this whole thing. That's the whole thing. Like the iron ball, right? The big iron ball. If we put it in the fire, it will just all become one. So we think that it's an iron ball. Understanding is there. I mean, grammar. I'm not the best in grammar, to be honest with you. Kusumji, you're muted.
Not really, but at least this 23rd, which you saying the 6 things, it's beautifully done by Gurudev in Am I That I Am, in this Mananam series, and also in Art of Man Making. And he said if there is, like you gave the beautiful example of the sun shining in, say, 200 buckets of water, and it depends on, the reflection depends on what kind of the water it is. So he said, each one of us, what mind we have, like he represents that buckets, the water, the buckets are our body, and the water is our thoughts. And how the sun reflects is the reflection. That is the conditioned consciousness. But the real consciousness is the sun itself. So the real person who's realized, he doesn't look at the reflection because he knows it's just a reflection, but he turns his attention to the real sun, which is the real consciousness. But all of us, our minds are not very clear. So we see that reflection, and the reflection sometimes is shaky, sometimes is not even very clear. So he says if there is one supreme consciousness, how can it be different? That divinity is different. Like he gives beautiful example that Hitler, how did he do all these things? If the divinity was present, what happened to that divinity? So he says in that case, he's just a spectator, just a witness, because this person has so much of vanity, extreme vanity, and he was so thick that he could not see that reflection at all. Then the second one, permitter, is when the reflection gets little better. The mud is cleared in the water, means in the thought, little clear. Then it becomes permitter, because then God is helping him a little bit. The third one, it gets less and less ego out, which means that clearing the mind agitations. And he supports all his actions because he's surrendered to God. And the fourth one is like Mahatma Gandhi and all that, who do the welfare of it, who don't have much of the ego at all. And then that God is the enjoyer in that, because he enjoys all that. And the other one is still on the ladder of supreme, how your spiritual ladder, they go a little further, higher and higher. Also, they developed having siddhis. They could do so many things, control the elements and all that. And the sixth one is when, like Gurudev and all that, they merge completely with Brahman and they become Brahman. And there where they become the supreme self, the Paramatma. So that's how he beautifully explains in Art of Man Making and also in this text. So I thought it was very beautiful. And these 3 Atmani questions, those were the Triputi of the experiencer, experiencing, and the object of experience. So those 3 are the meanings of those. That's what I thought. I just wanted to add that.
Thank you, Kusumji. Thank you. In fact, the whole idea is to know that I am the Brahman. Me as Brahman, I was the one working as Ram. I was the one working as Ravan. I was the one who was Hitler. I was the one who was Mahatma Gandhi. I was the one who was Churchill. I was the one who was Johnson. It's me.
Yeah, you said it right. Exactly. It's on us to make our mind most sattvic So then we can be that level. That's just a ladder, spiritual ladder. That's beautiful. The 23rd verse is the best one out of this chapter.
Yeah, and in just one or two shlokas, we can understand the whole gist, but that's the whole problem. We don't sit down and contemplate. We have to spend a lot of time, but we can do the arti. Yes.
न तत्र सूर्यो भाति न चन्द्रतारकम्
Chandratarkam
नेमाभितो भान्ति कुतोऽयमग्निः तमेव भान्तमनुभाति सर्वम् तस्य भासा सर्वमिदं विभाति आरति श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की दिव्य रूप मूर्ति करुणा की आरती सद्गुरु की चरणों में उनके शांति समाए शरणागत की भांति मिटाए आप ताप संताप हरण की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की वेद उपनिषद गीता को गाया धर्म सनातन फिर से जगाया शुद्ध नीति प्रीति शंकर की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की सिद्ध पहाड़ी की तपोभूमि में नित्य विराजे गुरु हमारे भक्त हृदय आनंद स्रोत की आरती श्री चिन्मय सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की आरती सद्गुरु की बोलो बोलिए श्री कृष्ण चंद्र भगवान की जय श्री सद्गुरु महाराज की जय कायेन वाचा मनसेन्द्रियैर्वा बुद्ध्यात्मना वा प्रकृते स्वभावात् करोमि यद्यत् सकलं परस्मै नारायणायेति समर्पयामि सर्वे भवन्तु सुखिनः सर्वे सन्तु निरामयाः सर्वे भद्राणि पश्यन्तु मा कश्चित् दुःखभाग् भवेत् ॐ असतो मा सद्गमय तमसो मा ज्योतिर्गमय मृत्योर्मामृतं गमय ॐ शान्ति शान्ति शान्तिः हरिः ॐ श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरिः ॐ. Thank you.